The smartest person you know probably isn't a genius. They don't have a special brain. They didn't win the genetic lottery. They just do four things you don't. And here is what nobody tells you. You could start doing them today, but you won't. Because modern life has trained your brain for the exact opposite. Short clips, fast swipes, endless notifications. Your brain is being conditioned for distraction, not depth, for consuming, not thinking. And the result? You feel like you're learning all the time, but you can't remember any of it. You watch 100 videos, but can't explain a single one. You scroll for hours, but your brain stays exactly where it started. That's not a you problem, that's a design problem. And these four habits are how you fight back. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what makes someone seem intelligent and why it has almost nothing to do with how they were born.
Welcome back to the channel where we decode the chaos you're locked in. Around here, school is psychological warfare, and we hand you the cheat codes. Let's dissect this.
When you call someone smart or intelligent, what are you actually seeing? Think of the smartest person you know in real life. They can talk sense about a lot of topics. They use real facts and examples, not just vibes. They notice things you didn't. And when something breaks, they at least know where to start. Here is the thing. You aren't seeing an IQ score. You are seeing behavior, trained behavior. I used to think smart people were just born that way, different hardware. Then I started paying attention. The people I thought were geniuses weren't doing anything magical. They just had habits I didn't. 4 habits, specifically. And the moment I stole them, everything started to shift. Let me show you what they are. Habit number 1. Read one page, say one sentence. Let's start with the stereotype. Smart people read, but not smart people buy books and let them sit there. Actually read, regularly, even just a little. The habit is deliberately small. Read at least one page a day, then say or write one sentence about it. That's it. Your brain will say, 1 page? That's nothing. I should read more. Ignore it. 1 page is how it starts. The sentence is how it sticks. There is a reason this works. Psychologists call it retrieval practice. Pulling information out of your brain strengthens memory more than just reading it again. That one sentence at the end isn't extra. It is the whole point. Now think about that friend who always sounds smart in conversations. You say sleep, they casually mention the REM cycle. You say burnout, they talk about dopamine levels. You mention the latest phone, they compare it to the previous model and know what actually changed. That isn't magic. That is what happens when someone has been feeding their brain little bits of information for months. Same brain type, different input. What you gain? Knowledge, ideas, and facts your brain can pull from later. Vocabulary, words to describe what you're thinking. Context, you've seen different angles on the same topic. 1 page, 1 sentence, every day. That is habit 1. Now, reading is good, but there's a problem. You can read 1,000 books and still sound like an idiot if you've never actually done anything, which brings us to the habit that separates thinkers from doers. Habit number 2, go deep on one real-world skill. Being smart isn't just about knowing things. It's about knowing how things actually work. Pick one skill and decide you're going to take it seriously. Coding, cooking, video editing, tutoring math, repairing bikes, making music. It doesn't matter which one, as long as it exists in the real world. Consider this. Person A has watched 100 cooking videos. Person B has cooked dinner for themselves a couple hundred times, burned food, undercooked food, fixed disasters, mistimed everything, and learned. When they both talk about hard work or learning from mistakes, person B sounds 10 times more intelligent, not because they were born smarter, but because they're talking from experience, not guessing. Studies on expertise confirm this. Real pattern recognition doesn't come from watching. It comes from doing. Thousands of repetitions, real feedback, actual consequences. What you gain? Pattern recognition. I have seen this problem before. Last time it meant X. Cause and effect. If I do this, that usually happens. Realistic judgment. You know how long things actually take and what can go wrong. You also gain real examples. So instead of saying, in theory, you say, when I was learning guitar, this is what actually happened. That is habit 2. So now you know things. You have done things. But here's what separates sharp from average. The ability to see what others miss. Habit number 3. Have a hobby that trains your eye or ear. Do something creative that trains your perception. Drawing or painting. playing an instrument, photography, graphic design. You aren't trying to become a famous artist. You're trying to teach your brain to notice details. Think about this. You throw some text and colors on a slide and think, looks okay. Your friend who does a bit of digital art looks once and says, title is too big, colors clash, spacing is off, move this here. 2 minutes later, the slide looks clean, professional, and easy to read. Same slide. One brain has practiced seeing thousands of examples of good versus bad. The other hasn't. What you gain? Better taste. You can tell what's clear versus messy, elegant versus awkward. Better pattern spotting. You recognize structures that keep showing up. A habit of looking closely instead of just glancing. This spills into everything: how you format notes and resumes, how you judge websites and apps, how you arrange your space. Once your eye or ear is trained, you naturally ask, what exactly is off here? What would make this better? That is habit 3. Knowledge, skill, perception. But there's one more piece, the one that makes all of these compound over time, and it's the one most people skip. Habit number 4, be actively curious about everyday stuff. Don't let everyday questions die. Here's an example. Your sink clogs. Most people think, that's annoying, and call the plumber. Curious you thinks, okay, but what actually went wrong here? You look under the sink, notice the U-shaped pipe, search the part name, watch a short video, maybe even try a simple fix. Maybe you still call the plumber, but now you actually understand what those pipes do, why they clogged, and what to watch out for next time. Same with words, tech, systems. You see a word you're only half sure about, look it up once. You don't get how Wi-Fi or elevators or your washing machine work. Spend 3 minutes finding out. What you gain? Mental models, little internal diagrams of how things work. Problem-solving comfort. Your brain has seen problems like this before. First step thinking. Even if you don't know everything, you know where to start. That is habit 4. So back to the original question. When you call someone smart or intelligent, what are you actually seeing? You see someone who can talk sense about a lot of topics. That comes from reading, feeding their brain ideas, examples, and vocabulary, one page at a time. You see someone who uses real facts and examples, not just vibes. That comes from mastering a skill, going deep enough that they can speak from experience instead of theory. You see someone who notices things you didn't. That comes from a hobby that trains their eye or ear, hours of quietly looking at details. And when something breaks, you see someone who at least knows where to start. That comes from curiosity, months of asking, how does this actually work? None of this is about being born a genius. It's about 4 ordinary habits that compound into something extraordinary. Here's the truth. Intelligence isn't a gift. It's a receipt. It's proof of what your brain has been practicing, whether you chose it or not. You don't control the brain you were born with, but you do control what it practices every day. Smart isn't a mysterious compliment other people get. It's a result. And now you know the formula. If you want more breakdowns of how to actually build a better brain, subscribe. Drop in the comments, which of these 4 habits are you starting first? See you in the next one.